If you're a part of that small but larger than it should be percentage of queer people who can accept all things queers as long as it has nothing to do with gender identity, i.e. trans women, trans men, non-binary people, and all other gender identities, this month is not for you. It's not for you. You can celebrate over there, but we'll be over here celebrating with the real family. Black cis women, I want to tell you from all black trans women, we adore you, girl. We love you so much. You are so talented, you are so innovative, and you are so loved. We admire you, and we are with you. We are in the same culture. We are all black women here. We have got to learn to start respecting each other. I am no less of a woman than you are, okay? All girls grow up and have a background to whatever made them a woman. I had my way to womanhood and you had yours. But the only way we are going to have people respect black women as a unit, and we're going to demand it, period. We got to come together. That means all black women, period. This video is to address a fellow TikToker who highlighted the fact that I said I would not choose to be trans if I had been given the choice. I would never pretend it's all roses and daisies when a lot of times the only flowers black trans women know are at our funerals. We can't ignore the fact that black LGBT people do have a very, very different experience than white LGBT people do. I am a black trans woman and our average life expectancy is 35 years old. Homophobia and transphobia run rampant within the black community, which means that a lot of times we are murdered at the hands of people that we've known our whole lives within our community. This poses a whole new set of threats and risks to our lives. I genuinely thought it was great that you were able to talk about all the beautiful things that come with being a part of the LGBT community, but I do not have the privilege and freedoms to speak about such beauties as a black trans woman when a lot of times we don't, freedom is no fear. That's what Nina Simone said, and I live my life fearfully, which means I'm living my life without freedom every day. You know what's so sad about being a trans person? We're constantly fighting to have our voices heard, and you all are still stuck on the anatomy and how it switched from one to the other. And you trans exclusionary feminists don't see the way the sexist world is focusing on the trans female body and nothing more. Nobody talks about our issues. Nobody talks about the injustices. Nobody talks about how black trans women of color, are targeted and dying. But we still are talking about, oh, well, you cut this and you snip that and then you flip this. Nobody's talking about that. Hello, walk into the new conversation. I could see in 2012, but come on, it's 2021. A lot of times in the beginning of a young black trans woman's transition, everybody turns their backs on that young trans girl, including the trans community at times. They'll pick at her looks, pick her apart, tell her all the things that she may need to get surgeries for. And I'm just like, it's so nasty. I wish that we could be there for the young version of us. Well, I'm still young. And I haven't really had many people there for me, you know what I mean? But when I am an older trans girl, one of the old dolls, I'm going to enrich the young trans community. Because why would I not? Number one. And number two, we need to get out of the idea that all trans women need to look a certain way. It's not always going to be femme and feminine and, to the house down boots. That's not for every trans girl. It's come to my attention that some of the older dolls are a little repulsed when the younger trans girls elect not to have surgeries or start hormones. And I wanted to let you know you are a part of the problem if you think that the more surgeries you have or the more cis-assuming that you are, the more valid you are in your gender identification. Not everybody's transition is going to look like yours, and that's okay. But the best thing you can do as somebody who's been there is support. Remember exactly how you felt as a young trans person. And also, Remember the alternative, okay? For a lot of us who don't have money, the alternative is going to these illegal places, getting injections and going under knives that have not been sterilized since they were bought. So I just want for you to know, sometimes when you push and pressure people to do things simply because you want them to look a certain way, in this thing we call transition, you could be risking their lives, their safety, their happiness, because sometimes you come out looking like roop-de-roop if you go to the
New TikTok challenge. Everybody say one way that the American public education system has failed.
Girl, I was in my 11th grade year of high school when I started transitioning to the beautiful woman that you see today. A guidance counselor told me that she thought I was a handsome boy and I made a terrible mistake. She then followed by saying a woman is a woman and a man is a man, and that's the way the Bible made it. Then I had another lady who really didn't have a job title. She kind of was just getting paid by the school just to be there because she'd been there when the school was like built in 1928. Not really, but you know, she's been there forever. This old ass woman sat in a group of 17-year-old girls and proudly declared that she would continue to call me my dead name, and because I did not have the reproduction system of a woman, I would never be a woman in her mind. When I told y'all I told that lady up and down her office and threatened to report her to the district, I did. I sent a letter and she was fired a couple of weeks later. That part. The things that black trans women have to stomach on a daily really, really kill me when I just sit back and think about it. But first, let's talk about how the black community can sometimes stigmatize being in the LGBT community. I mean, there are people who will straight up ignore the fact that Uncle JoJo has touched on all of the kids, but let little Jamie come out as a lesbian, and oh my gosh, that's the worst thing since Hitler. So you have to walk around as a trans woman knowing every single day that if they find out you are trans, your life is in danger, period. You ain't got to worry about just, people over here. You also have to worry about the people in your community. You are now unsafe. But the sad thing about it is, the thing that really hurts is that when it comes to all things that have to relate with Black Lives Matter, LGBT black people are always on the forefront fighting on the media and in the streets. So when is the love going to be reciprocated? Cisgender sisters, it's a little problematic to think that transgender women are innately jealous of you because you feel as though you have a leg up because you were born this way. But let me tell you something. No girl is born a woman, period. Every girl comes across womanhood in a different way. I came my way, you came yours. Nobody's better here, and I have no reason to be jealous. And you have no reason to be jealous. Nobody has a reason to be jealous. Let's just be happy. Let's be sisters because we're better in numbers. And these men out here are pigs. They're pigs. Okay? Let's fight together. Let's band up with Donna and do this, okay? What a lot of white people refuse to understand is that white privilege does not exclude one single white person. It's just the way that it is. Privilege does not necessarily mean that you grew up in a mansion and all you knew was caviar. You could have lived on a dirt road your entire life and never knew anything but plastic silverware and plastic plates and bowls, and rats and roaches were your best friends. But even still, with rats and roaches as your best friends, you as a white person in America have a leg up because this country was built for you. There's certain opportunities that will be easier for you to achieve coming from the bottom than black people starting from the bottom, which our bottom is way lower than your bottom, number one. And number two, black people whose names and reputation will be held in the highest regards of pearls and diamonds and names and the like will still be held lower on the totem pole than you at the very bottom, because that's the way the country was built. Hello there. Can I take up just a dime's worth of your time? Oh, great. Thank you. That's so kind of you. I just wanted to let you know that the internalized hate that you have for trans women is evident when you throw backhanded compliments at me like, wow, you're so beautiful. I can't believe that you're trans. Not only are you trying to set me apart from trans women that you see that you feel are noticeably trans and because of that you find unattractive, It's just disrespectful and transphobic. And I know that you may not understand that, but let me tell you, it's just like you saying, you're different than the rest of those black girls. You're beautiful. Or you're beautiful for a black girl, or any other race specific comment or compliment that people make trying to set you apart from the rest of the group. Baby, it's not cute to me. And while some trans women find that cute and it makes them feel beautiful, I don't. I love my sisters. And if you don't find somebody attractive, don't let it be because they're trans. Let it just be you don't find them attractive. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The stereotypical trope of the LGBT sidekick to the main character who happens to be cishet not only plays out on television and film, but it also plays out in real life. You'll see that sometimes cishet people do view LGBT people as only accessories to their lives, not a necessity to their lives. And when it's time to get real or find Jesus, they kick us to the curb. And it all boils down to the fact that sometimes cishet people do view the lives of LGBT people as lifestyles, as if we choose all of this. Who's going to choose this? Surely you see what everybody says about us on the internet and in real life. It's a life full of harassment and sadness, and sometimes the bad outweighs the good. It's not a choice. I need for you to take that ignorant thought out of your mind. This is not a lifestyle. It's who we are. And notice I said who we are and not what we are, because it is in the fabric of our identities. And for you to question that would be questioning our identities. And we don't do that to you because, quite frankly, we don't care. Marsha P. Johnson single-handedly created a movement that today we know as Pride. And throughout history, black trans women have upheld the legacy of the LGBT community as a whole and given a voice to white LGBT members of the community. And let me tell you, a lot of times that very voice that we've given to these white LGBT folks, they hardly use to step up and stand up for us. We are, as black trans women, the most endangered of the LGBT community. And where are you? You need to stand up. It's not all about the rainbow flag, baby, and a party in June. Sometimes you have to stand up for those who stood up for you so that we can continue to stand up for you and we can stand up for each other. It doesn't have to be a one-sided thing. There's an excruciating sense of worthlessness when it comes to being a black trans woman. Not that we find ourselves worthless, but we know our place in the world and in society. And society, a lot of the time, says that we're worthless and that we don't matter. We die at alarming rates through violence. And a lot of people never know about it. News, media doesn't cover it. You'll never know about it unless you're looking for it. It's not made loud by the media. And you know that because you're black, a lot of the white people in the LGBT community won't fight for you. A lot of people in the LGBT community refuse to respect transgender people and our identities. And black people won't fight for you because you belong to the LGBT community. And the black community is very homophobic and transphobic. So what is our worth in the world? Well, sometimes it feels worthless. I actually hate the word tolerate when it comes to being around LGBT people and not disrespecting us when you're in our space. No, that's just respect. To respect our pronouns, our identities, and who we love, that's just respect. And respect should be the default of society. I mean, respect is free. You don't even have to pay for it. And the other thing is, to tolerate is to be around something that you don't particularly like, but you just allow the occurrence of it. And baby, this isn't your world to allow me to do something when I'm around you or be who I am when I'm around you. This is not your world. I'm sorry, is this your world? Are you God? Are you a being that, created or is somehow over the world? Because if you are, I need $1 million. So let me know. I need $1 million. I've been receiving a lot of comments lately about how mature I am for the very young age of 19. And while I do take it as a compliment, it's just simply out of the effect of black young trans women don't get the advantage or the privilege to be young and dumb. We have to live our lives responsibly, very young. Otherwise, we may shorten it. Too young. And you also have to realize we are the empaths of the universe. We feel everything that you feel and everything that you make us feel. Anything that marginalizes or pushes people back, we feel it 10 times harder because we're black and we're trans. So that's what it is. It's survival. Because the world has a target on our backs. When you're targeted in a world that doesn't want you to exist, you have to be responsible. But I do thank you. I do pride myself in being very mature. But I can be petty sometimes. I had plenty of people tell me near the beginning of my transition that they think it would be a horrible decision, yes, that is the word that they used, to transition because they did not feel that I would embody what their idea of a woman was. They did not think that I would physically be beautiful enough to pass in society as a woman. And it's just like, trans people do not transition to pass in society as a cisgender person. Number one, that's where you're getting it wrong. And number two, don't put your cisgender pressure and funk on us to look like you. Okay? At all. Our transition is not any less valid if we do not pass. All right? It's not about that. It's about who we are. And notice I said who and not what. I think for a lot of LGBT people, with myself included, our whole lives are just a constant search for unconditional love because we had to give up the idea of unconditional love at very young ages, depending on when we came out to our families. And we watched these people who said that they would unconditionally love us no matter what, turn their backs on us when we tell them exactly who we are. And when somebody tells you, I no longer love you because you do not fit the idea of what I wanted for your life, it makes life itself feel very conditional. Growing up, I would jokingly call my mother Massa. My mother and I joke about it now, but I was about 8 years old when I started making that joke, right after learning a little bit about slavery. But I sat down and really thought about the filial relationships within the black household and how slavery has really dictated our experience as black people, even down to how our parents raise us. Growing up a black Southern Baptist Christian, double homicide, I was taught that children were not only inferior to adults, but were to be subservient. I knew that if I acted outside of the guidelines, I would be physically reprimanded. Slave masters would whip our enslaved ancestors to reassert dominance, and I could not help but see the parallel between that and how we were reprimanded physically by our parents. For 2 years, I wrote, produced, and directed a show for the progression of my black people. I'm an artist, and my work will always reflect the experiences of black people. I realized shortly after starting production that my actors were a little disrespectful towards me and had made transphobic comments. But I knew that my work was more important than their jealousy in disguise. It came to my attention through someone telling me that they were using my dead name and he/him pronouns behind my back. And for months after the production, I had my mind set on never fighting for black people again. I felt as though black trans women are always having to put our respect on the line to fight for our people. We aren't even respected when we're fighting for our people. And it hurts me to know that that is the reality. Why should we use our huge, powerful voices if you're just going to diminish them with your hate? Isn't that why we're fighting? So that black people don't have to live within a box. People often ask me why it is that I wear makeup every day. And I could be rude and say none of your business, but I'm going to be very nice and give you a very simple answer. It's not that I don't find myself beautiful without makeup. Most hang-ups I have about myself have nothing to do with my very own opinion. It has everything to do with feeling pressure as a dark-skinned trans woman to be cis-assuming. Throughout history, dark skin has been depicted as strong, masculine, and very unattractive. It is my opinion that people have been harder on dark-skinned women, both cisgender and transgender, and I deeply fear being misgendered. I don't know why I feel that a wing liner and a wispy lash will cure all of this, but it makes me feel more confident in public places. So that is why I wear makeup almost every single day. The next time a guy asks me if it's gay that they're attracted to me, I'm just gonna let them know, baby, if you feel gay, that's on you, baby. I'll support you and I'm there for you, but don't project that on me. You just misgendered me. You realize that, right? And you want me to be peachy keen like, no, that doesn't make you gay. That's not cute to me. It's 2021. If you don't know, go Google it. But stop asking me offensive ass shit, man. So this person came onto my live and they made a comment that was very striking to me. They said that they knew my father was somewhere crying. And honestly, it didn't pain me that this person commented that, because honestly, they don't know me. They don't know that I have an absent father. I just knew it was an asshole being a transphobic dick. But I realized that I love people even when I don't know them much. Honestly, because I romanticize things, I love the idea of people. And I would want to make my father proud, even though he has not been there. But I gotta tell you, I am 19 years old and I have been in Business Insider. I have gone viral on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, solely based off of the fact that I have some pretty profound shit to say about my experiences, full of just sadness, disappointment. But you know what? I still made it through. My father should be very proud of me. I have no fear of that. There are some black famous people who belong to the LGBT community who do not use their voice to advocate for the black community because the black community never advocated for them. And while I am a proud black trans woman who does advocate for all communities that she belongs to, I have to say there is some logic behind not fighting for people who don't fight for you. I wanted to let you know that if you're not fighting for black trans women, you're not fighting for all black people, okay? If you're not fighting for black trans people and gender non-conforming black people, you are not fighting for all black people. And until you can sit down and fight for all of us, there will be no growth. Sorry, but I have no sympathy for male cishet serial killers who claim they began harming people due to the rejection of their family. If that were a valid excuse to be an axe murderer or a sex offender, more than half of the black LGBTQ plus community would be convicted of murder. I sit before you as a person whose only claim to TikTok fame is speaking up for people, specifically black and brown people of the LGBTQ plus community. And I can honestly tell you, I'd never be the activist who encourages black queer youth to come out to their families. More often than not, I have discouraged it, or told kids to seriously think about the realistic possibility of a heinous outcome. Clearly, each and every one of us have different backgrounds and experiences, but the theme of our coming out as black kids is eerily similar. Immediate rejection, religious reckoning, and hypocritical disgust. White queer society and white queer visibility has made it seem like coming out is a celebratory event in life, but for black kids, it can be the death of our presence in our families. So if you're a black queer kid watching me wondering how to come out or if to come out, my advice is always to consider your bare needs. Will you still have a home? Will you still have a support system? And will you still have food to eat? If not, can you wait? I recently saw the most unfunny TikTok of a cis-assuming trans woman quoting, "But you don't look trans," before getting into what she thought visibly trans women look like. And while it started out as a harmless challenge, I could only express my disgust by comparing it to a modern day minstrel show, giving the people exactly what they want, all while putting your own people down. It's giving Jim Crow entertainment, and I hate that that's what you chose to go viral with, sis. Black women are like mangoes. Everyone wants a bite, and even when they've taken all they can, they continue to bite at the little flesh left around the seed. That's probably why we're so sweet and wet. As you all know, I am the self-proclaimed princess of the alphabet mafia, and I love each and every letter of our rainbow just the same. But today, we're calling out G. G, please step up to the podium. All right. You've gotten away with body shaming women, being misogynistic, transphobic, hell, even at times homophobic and racist. Call yourself out before the court before I sentence you to eternity in the cishet dungeon, which is basically hell. So July 1st, I was featured alongside the popular non-binary creator Mother Victory in an article for the TodayShow.com about trans people using this very platform to educate. Recently, TikTok's creator page on Instagram acknowledged Victory being featured in the article, deliberately overlooking the fact that I was also featured in the same article with just as much coverage on the Today Show's website. TikTok said, and I quote, "Congrats to one of our amazing LGBTQ and API creators for being featured in the Today Show," end quote. I guess my main questions are when and why. When will the blatant erasure of Black trans women's contributions come to an end? When will the LGBTQ plus community acknowledge the hard work of Black trans folks? When will we receive our flowers? And finally, why? Why was it acceptable for my image and words to be erased? Why was my voice and my contributions overlooked and undermined? Why was Mother Victory silent while accepting these congratulations, knowing that my image and words stood beside theirs? How could you accept flowers and the title of the voice of our large community, knowing race and background are contributing factors to how we experience the world as LGBTQ plus folks? I don't seek justice from this because, above all, I am a realist, and I know that's not going to come on this app. But if you support me, I ask that you make sure to follow me on all other social media platforms so I can stop contributing to platforms that don't acknowledge or appreciate my offerings. Thank you. Non-Black people, instead of saying race isn't a thing, do your research to learn why race is a thing, so that you can make sure it doesn't have to be such a barrier for future generations. If we've learned anything, it should be that the lack of education on minority struggles and experiences is the very privilege-drenched hooded cloak that got us here in the first place. To say that you ignore race is implicitly racist within itself. We can't address the issues of our society by pretending they don't exist. Black, Latinx, Indigenous, and all other minority groups in America don't have the choice or privilege to pretend that race and ethnicity aren't a factor of life. It's evident to us every day that they most certainly are. I am Jade Marie Eichelberger, and this is the wonderfully aware world of Jade x Badu. If you enjoyed, please like and follow. I had family members to put on Oscar award-winning performances pretending that their hesitation to accept my being trans was due to their fear of me being unsafe. But after many conversations of them expressing their disgust with my lifestyle, I realized quickly that it wasn't my well-being that concerned them, but the fact that I had become the very kind of person that they pick on. Watch people's excuses for why they have hesitations towards you and your happiness. Sometimes they're upset that your happiness doesn't align with their idea of a person worthy of society, grace, and love. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and follow me. And always remember, your life is not to be pre-planned. You plan your life in happiness. Many cishet women have adopted themselves into the LGBTQ plus community without the education or knowledge to truly be an ally. A lot of you all are the gay best friends who are bigoted, transphobe, and homophobe with a cute little poodle in her purse. Don't be someone's excuse for homophobic and transphobic behavior. They permit themselves to have problematic ideals towards our community based on you being their gay best friend, thinking that you all's friendship somehow exempt them from being called out for LGBTQ plus phobias. For example, "Oh my God, I'm not homophobic. I have a gay best friend. He knows I don't agree with his lifestyle, but I don't hate the gays." Cis women, stop giving trans women your unsolicited beauty advice or comments. Us being trans isn't an open invitation for you to critique our looks, telling us what you think has or will look the most feminine on us. This isn't Build-A-Bitch. I don't have to look how you think I should. Go get a Barbie doll. She'll take your pathetic styling choice of Uggs and leggings better than I will. Thanks, sister. Bye, sister. I have seen way too many videos of my Black cis sisters sharing their very real struggles with being masculinized. There have been a few videos on my For You page recently where they have expressed that they've been mistaken for trans women. And normally I chalk these types of comments up to trolls being trolls, given that these creators have no masculine features by Western beauty standards at all. As a proud Black trans woman, I know that being trans doesn't innately mean that you possess masculine features, but many bigots who indulge in this app do not understand this. The struggle being called manly as a Black woman, be it cis or trans, is something that delves deeper than an insult. It's actually deeply rooted in the desexualization of the Black woman that has been happening since we stepped foot on this land, and it is simply unacceptable and racist. However, along with this being unacceptable, it is also unacceptable and comically ironic that a lot of these same creators use these experiences as weapons against trans women, perpetuating transphobia in their comments. You go against your biggest allies when you agree with these comments suggesting that black trans women specifically are undesirable and point blank manly. I won't go into my long rant about the origin of BBL and camp fashion or lace front wigs in our community, but what I will say is, in the rare cases that the black community as a whole rallied around black women after being attacked by the very construct of America, which is racism, colorism, and sexism, the first ones to come to your defense are the black LGBTQ plus community. Don't feed into a construct that doesn't benefit either one of us. Instead, encourage your following to educate themselves to stop feeding into the very hate-fueled phobia that has slain over 24 of our trans black sisters yearly. And that is transphobia within the black community. As I've said many times before, I love, and respect me some black women, trans and cis. But reciprocity is key if we're going to move forward as one. Okay. So you all, I'm making this video just to remind you as a family member or a friend of a trans person that it is not your business to disclose that a person is trans before they meet your other friends or family. While you may feel that it is necessary because you want for your trans friend to feel as safe as possible, it's really important to have friends that aren't transphobic anyway to make her feel or make him or them feel uncomfortable in the first place. You really would want to reevaluate the circle around you if you feel the need to tell all of your friends or family that this person is trans simply because you fear that she may be or he may be, I'm always putting myself in these situations, or they may be misgendered. I think I would just reevaluate those friends, because you could be putting a trans person in more harm's way than doing help by letting people know, oh, look, this person is trans before they meet them. There's a lot of things and there's a lot of microaggressions that are thrown at trans people that you as a cis person might not even pick up on, whenever another cis person that you've told your friend, that your friend is trans to, would say to the trans person, you wouldn't even pick up on it because you would not understand. My solution would simply be having a conversation with your friends and family member everyday conversations about how do you feel about trans people? Do you respect trans people in your everyday lives? And from there, you should know whether or not you should be able to bring that trans person around these people. But as I said before, if you have friends that you fear are transphobic, it's time to reevaluate those relationships and those friendships, because transphobia, just like homophobia, run much deeper than transphobia and homophobia. They are rooted in racism and misogyny. And I won't give you any further education on that because I'm not getting paid. And if y'all want to, tip a bitch, hey, a little KA, a little K, a little change, a little $5 help, because I'm unemployed right now. And then maybe I'll give you a little more education.